Right now, hundreds of nurses at Unity Point Health Merida are going on strike. What the nurses are demanding and how long the strike is expected to last. Plus, questions remain in England as investigators try and figure out the motive behind why a person drove into spectators at a victory parade. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. This is News 3 Now at noon, and I'm Jalen Banks. Josh is off for the day. We begin with breaking news as the Wisconsin Supreme Court is suspending a Dane County judge following a complaint brought by the Wisconsin Judicial Commission. Judge Ellen Burrs will be suspended without pay starting June 26th. The commission alleged that Burrs violated multiple parts of the Code of Judicial Ethics and then admitted to said violations. Two incidents are referenced. In 2019, where Judge Burrs allegedly used sarcasm towards a defendant and admonished him for asking to move a trial date. Then in 2021, Judge Burrs allegedly directed a bailiff to leave her courtroom and arrest the defendant who missed the court appearance because they were in the hospital. When the bailiff said they couldn't go, Burrs allegedly said she would go to the hospital and arrest the person herself. About 1,000 nurses walking off the job at Merida Hospital today. Their union and the hospital are still at odds after a last-minute meeting never happened. This is a live look at the strike, and Merida's Vice President of Human Resources tells News 3 Now that SEIU canceled a bargaining session yesterday, but the union denies it. Nurses say the hospital's latest offer doesn't address their concerns about staffing, safety, or burnout.
We must see tangible change from management in order to ensure that safety and security are prioritized and the things we love about the work that we do are protected.
The hospital says it will remain fully operational during the strike. Hospital leadership says they have contracted with travel nurses and that other members of the hospital's care teams will keep on working. If you have an appointment this week, Merida says carve out extra time for parking and entrance delays. The next day, the two parties will meet to negotiate is May 29th. Ahead of the strike, SEIU held a press conference alongside state Democrats. Police are investigating after finding a 6-year-old with a gunshot wound on Madison's east side. The shooting happened just before 10 a.m. yesterday at the Harmony Apartments. First responders took the child to the hospital for further evaluation. Police say this appears to be an isolated incident. This is the second shooting at Harmony Apartments this year. A person was shot in March of this year inside of a unit. The city declared the apartment complex a public nuisance in April of 2020, only about a year after it had opened. It came after several acts of violence, including a 4-year-old shot in the foot. And 2 men are injured after a shooting on Madison's north side last night. Officers were sent to Kennedy Heights for reports of shots fired at around 8:47 p.m. A 36-year-old and a 28-year-old man were found with gunshot wounds. One man was treated at the scene. The other man was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The incident is under investigation and is believed to be an isolated incident. Now we've got some rain chances for the next few days. First Warning meteorologist Blaze Keller has a look at your certified most accurate forecast. Blaze?
That's right. Folks at home, we're expecting that rain to really pick up as we go into the evening and stick around with us overnight Tuesday and throughout Wednesday as well. Let's jump future track into the evening hours on Tuesday. That rain is going to come out of Minnesota and Iowa slowly but surely, probably after midnight, starting out along the Mississippi River and then continue to expand in coverage as we go through the morning commute time frame, breaking up as we head into the afternoon. A few thunderstorms can't be ruled out, but we're not anticipating any severe weather with this next round of showers and or thunderstorms. So obviously we're holding off on the rain chances until later this evening, but there is a little bit of wet activity there across southern parts of Walworth County, stretching from really the west side of the county to the east side across southern parts of Walworth County. Walworth, right now we're dealing with some of that rain that's just south of Lake Geneva. What we're looking at in terms of temperatures, it's humid out here, upper 60s to low 70s. We got to get that atmosphere ready for all that rain later tonight and throughout Wednesday. So unlike the last couple of days where we've been warm but not as humid, now we're warm and humid. So it does feel a little bit muggy outside, but it's starting to feel like summer as we have unofficially kicked it off. We got a few more rain chances before we go into this upcoming weekend. We'll track out those and talk about the warm up on the way for our temperatures in the full forecast.
All right, sounds good, Blaze. We'll see you in just a bit. National Public Radio is suing the Trump administration Today, the network filed a First Amendment lawsuit against the White House. The suit alleges President Donald Trump's attempt to defund NPR is a, quote, clear violation of the Constitution. Earlier this month, Trump accused NPR and television counterparts PBS of bias. His executive order called for the Corporation of Public Broadcasting to stop funding the two entities. The CBP is a private nonprofit that was created to be free of White House interference. It filed a separate lawsuit against the president for his efforts to fire some of its board members. Over in England, police in Liverpool want to know why a man drove into spectators at a soccer victory parade. Now, we want to warn you, some of the video may be disturbing to some. Just after the club's open-top bus left the parade route, police believe this 53-year-old man barreled his minivan into the crowd, throwing one man into the air. The chaos captured on clips posted on social media. He then sped up and rammed even more revelers. 4 people were trapped under the van, and police say 3 adults and 1 child were the ones underneath.
We suddenly saw the car reverse and then accelerate and move through the crowd, and honestly, people scattered like bowling pins. Honestly, the change in the mood from what has been a glorious, glorious day to just hell on earth. It was terrifying. It genuinely was terrifying.
The suspect eventually stopped his vehicle and was arrested. Police described it as an isolated incident, saying they were not treating it as an act of terrorism and urging against speculation about the circumstances surrounding the collision. Up next, President Trump threatens to take billions in grants from Harvard. Also, why Volvo is slashing hundreds of jobs, where most of those cuts are based in.
President Donald Trump has threatened to divert $3 billion in federal grant money from Harvard University to trade schools. He said in a post on social media, it's unclear how the president would shift the funding. The White House and the Ivy League College are locked in a legal battle after the Trump administration froze billions in funding while accusing Harvard of not doing enough to address anti-Semitism on campus. Harvard did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Swedish car maker Volvo is slashing 3,000 jobs in order to cut costs amid trade and economic uncertainty. The company says around 2,200 of the eliminated positions are based in Sweden, and the rest will come from other global markets. The job cuts are focused on office positions. And now the class of 2025 can get free donuts with their diplomas. Tomorrow, Krispy Kreme is giving college and high school grads a free 3-pack of original glazed donuts if they wear their cap and gown or senior swag to stores. Some grads could be selected to get a new diploma inspired by the classic Dr. Seuss book, Oh, the Places You'll Go, which comes with free donuts for a year. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Carissa Lawson.
And here are the stock numbers at the noon hour. The Dow is up 658 points. The NASDAQ is up 440 points. And the S&P 500 is up 108. Our call for action volunteers are in the building, taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. You can call for action at 608-270-2833. Or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call for action. Pam returns with the ag numbers, plus Blaze is back with a complete look of your first warn forecast. Then later on live at 4, which sunscreens actually work? Dr. Jeff Potoff stops by with what you need to know. Welcome back, or thank you for joining us. We are graced in studio today with Pam Yankee with our latest farm news. How's it going, Pam?
Jalen, you sweet talker. You know, we're talking about something that kids are pretty excited about, especially after Memorial Weekend, the end of the school year, right? It's not just the kids that are excited. There's a lot of teachers out there that are pretty thrilled, too. But I'll tell you what, this is also the time when we start getting anxious about the agriculture educators that are going to be making some moves that could impact programs by this fall. Sally Ladston is the education counselor at the Department of Public Instruction that oversees agriculture, food, Food and Natural Resources. She also happens to be the Wisconsin FFA advisor. She said so far it's been crazy. 19 programs that she is aware are going to see teacher changes. Now, maybe the teacher is moving to a different position within the district, or maybe the teacher is exiting the district. That she doesn't know just yet. She said this is not uncommon. Last year, they saw 60 teacher changes just in the agriculture education area in the state of Wisconsin. And she said that is something that is obviously difficult to manage because we just don't have the inventory of teachers to fill some of the vacancies. And that ultimately really dictates what new programs we'll see coming up in the fall of 2025. She said there's always interest, but finding teachers that are available, that is really the key. We're coming up on our first June Dairy Weekend activities. I just want to remind you again, this weekend, Greene County rolls out the dairy carpet for you, going to be down in the Monroe area. Heaven View Dairy welcomes you out. Please take the buses from the Walmart in Monroe. Saves all kinds of wear and tear on the fields and your vehicle. And then Dane County still calling for volunteers. They need volunteers for Cows on the Concourse that's coming up, and also the Dane County Breakfast on the Farm. Give Jenna a call. That phone number there, 608-799-0895, and step up and volunteer. They've had some challenges finding those volunteers, Jalen, so we're hoping that folks are going to be ready to lean in and help out for some of the June Dairy Fun we've got on the horizon.
Absolutely. You guys heard her. They need some volunteers. Well, thank you as always, Pam.
You bet.
Here's Blaze with a full look of your first one forecast.
And we are looking at some rain to move into parts of central and southern Wisconsin, especially overnight, and stick with us throughout Wednesday. Some of those showers do begin later this evening, but a lot of that holds off until after midnight going into Wednesday. But we're not done with our rain chances after Wednesday. As this low pressure system moves on out of here, we'll continue to see some lingering showers and maybe a few thunderstorms into Thursday and Friday. But certainly compared to not only the intensity, but how much of us could see that rain, we're likely going to be seeing that peak rain chance Wednesday, tapering off as we go throughout the rest of the work week, and then we quiet down as we look to end the weekend going into those first few days of June. Not looking at a lot of heavy widespread rain over the next 7 days, but we're looking at a healthy half to maybe 3/4 of an inch of some much needed rain, especially along the state line, the Wisconsin-Illinois state line there, because we've now seen moderate drought conditions expanding from basically Grant County all the way east into Lake Michigan. So we do need the rain. We don't need a washout, but we don't need it to continue to remain dry. So this is a nice little balance of somewhere in the middle of some beneficial rain, but nothing where we can't get out into the fields or the fields are inundated or just completely flooded with a lot of that heavy rain. Things have changed in the atmosphere. We've added a little bit more humidity, which is why we're able to get this rain as we go into the overnight hours. A low pressure system is going to be riding along the edge of this still strong high pressure that's been keeping us relatively quiet over this past weekend, but it's starting to weaken, which is why that rain can move its way into parts of not only Wisconsin, but into Minnesota as well. That will pull off towards the east as we go later into Thursday, but we still can see a few lingering showers, especially further south with some lingering energy in the atmosphere. And that'll continue into Friday as well. We might see some showers move out of northern Wisconsin into southern parts of the state, our neck of the woods, as we go overnight into Saturday. Again, that high pressure system is starting to weaken. And before that, it kept us on the drier side, more comfortable side, and it also kept us cooler, marked by these greens and these yellows. But watch here over parts of the Midwest. Watch as those greens essentially fade away, and then we welcome in the reds. We are going to be watching as this high pressure system essentially is forced off towards the south and east. It's weakening. A strong cold front out of Canada will really help push the remaining high pressure out of here. And that means that our temperatures are set to warm on up now that we've unofficially kicked off summer into more of those summer-like temperatures. We're sitting underneath a 40 to 50 to 50 to 60% chance of being warmer than average as we kick off June. And you can see those warmer temperatures as we go Friday through the middle of that following work week. After a fairly cool Wednesday there, about 10 or so degrees cooler than average, we'll rebound back into those warmer temperatures as we go into the end of this upcoming weekend. You can see right here into the start of our following work week. 60s today, tomorrow, back into the 70s Thursday, and then we flirt with the 80s Friday, Saturday, probably there on Sunday, but for sure by Monday and Tuesday of that following work week with limited rain chances through at least, I would say, Friday and Saturday. We may add back some showers and thunderstorms by the middle of next week now that we've got more of that summer-like air overhead. We've got the moisture, we've got the warmth, so maybe just some garden variety thunderstorms there as we go into the middle of next week, Jalen. But overall, you know, that high pressure system kept us very, very comfortable over the holiday weekend. I was so glad because everybody was able to get out, and now we're going to ease into summer, I think.
I know we're right there. Just
Almost.
a few more days,
Yes.
and we'll be in the midst of it.
Yep.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. And up next, Howard has a recipe that's perfect for hot dog lovers.
I hope you enjoyed your long weekend. If you're like most Americans, you probably had hot dogs yesterday as we kicked off the unofficial start to summer. If you have a few dogs left over, grilled or not, we have an easy way to turn them into a fill-you-up casserole that is comfort at its best. The first thing we want to do is cut about 8 hot dogs into half-inch chunks. As I said, these can be ones that have already been grilled or right out of the package. Now, we add those to a couple cans of chili, along with some chopped onion. After mixing this well, we sprinkle it with lots of cheddar cheese. To make this a real showstopper, we top this with a package of refrigerated biscuits that we've cut up and tossed with butter before popping it in the oven. This is the perfect dish to turn those leftover hot dogs into a hearty summertime casserole that's always welcome. When this comes out of the oven, smothered with cheese and topped with buttery biscuits, it's nearly impossible to resist. The recipe for what we call chili dog bubble bake is online now and is one of those recipes that you're going to want to hold on to all summer long. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a comforting summertime way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. Delish? You like that, Kim?
And when we come back at noon, the UW Health Clinical Dietitian has some food safety tips just for you. Thank you for staying with us. UW Health Clinical Dietitian Michelle Harnish is back with us this afternoon. So summer vacation and kids is our topic for today. So what do you have for us?
Yeah, well, we kind of have this assumption that kids are up at dawn and they're out on their bikes and they're exploring and they're eating all the fresh fruits in Wisconsin in the summer. But really, there's been some studies that have shown that's not really true. It seems like the less structure that they have leads them to actually be less healthy. So a lot of the studies have shown that screen time can go up to 40% when they're in the summer, and they really don't have the regulated meals, and so they're actually eating more added sugar than the fruits and vegetables.
So what are some tips for parents and families out there, you know, for the little ones that may be impacted by this for the summer?
Yeah, we definitely want to try to keep some sort of structure. I mean, obviously, bedtimes are going to be different and things like that, but having some sort of structure, knowing when they're going to get their regularly balanced meals. When it comes to snacks, definitely have healthy snacks at the ready. It's going to be a little bit harder to prep them and things like that, but we go for what's easy. And so if the healthier snacks are there, that's going to be, you know, more inclined maybe to grab those. We know that there are going to be the summer treats, but we just want to make sure that we don't see them kind of taking over. We still want to make sure that we're kind of keeping them to special occasions. Limiting sugary drinks for both grown-ups and kids are important.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of healthy things going on from sugar drinks. And then the opposite side of the coin, physical activity and screen time. You know, we want to try to reduce the screen time to get kids to be active. So they're actually more healthy in the summer than they would be in the school year.
Which is interesting. Would you just say, you know, a safe rule is maybe put them in a camp or a daytime, activity that's, several times a week?
Yeah, I mean, that will provide the structure to say, hey, this is when we're having the snack, this is when we're having the meal. Obviously encourages the activity.
Yeah.
It might not happen all summer long, but even some of that, some organized sports, anything that we can find that they can really enjoy the summer and the long days. That's what we wait all winter for.
All right. Well, sounds good. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Here's Blaze with the final check of the forecast.
And we are going to look for those rain chances to really pick up as we head overnight and continue throughout Wednesday. A few thunderstorms can't be ruled out. We're looking at mostly about 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch of rain, depending on if we're underneath one of those showers or thunderstorms compared to, say, our neighbors. Then temperatures start to warm on up out of the 60s Tuesday. So today and especially Wednesday, back into the 70s Thursday, 80s by our following Monday, maybe there by the end of this upcoming weekend. Summer is right around the corner. The warmer air is set to return as we go into next week.
Thank you for watching News Now at Noon. The Bold and the Beautiful is next.